We have a problem.
And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.
Howdy folks, I'm Darren. Welcome to Day Chronicles here at Cross Timbers Farm. Glad to have you with us today. Hot day. I've been on a mower and on the handlebars of a weed eater all day long. When I say mower, I'm talking about just a grass yard mower, not a hay mower. And mowing around our perimeters. I keep a path mowed around our hay fields, a road, an access road through, and also to divide our hay field from our pasture. And today was not a good day as far as the hay field goes. While I was mowing around, I got off the mower and walked down a little walking around, and we got a problem. We have a borderline infestation for second cutting of foxtail. Not good. A little bit of history. The last couple of years, I think 2 years of haying this property, I've saw a little bit of foxtail here and there and yonder at second cutting and third cuttings. Foxtail does not just come up in the spring like buttercup or something does. The time that foxtail really starts coming on is midsummer, usually after your first cut. And last year and the year before at second cutting, I noticed a little bit of foxtail here and there and yonder. It was enough for me to notice, but not enough for me to sound the alarm. We were treating our fields with 2,4-D and crossbow to rid the weed problem of broadleaf weeds. Foxtail is in the grass family, and 2,4-D and crossbow has no effect on this stuff whatsoever. A week or so ago, or maybe 2 weeks, I got to noticing foxtail seed heading, more of them than I'd ever saw in this field. Today, when I was mowing, I got off the mower, I saw these seedy tops in places in our field that caused me to stop the mower and go, oh no. These things, we have patches in our main hay field that is full of these things. It's not everywhere. To understand foxtail, there is an annual and a perennial variety. And what do you mean by that? We have an annual variety that when these seed heads get ripe, for lack of a better term, and they fall off into the ground, next year you'll have plants that'll come from these seeds and grow and produce more seeds. Then they die off in the winter, and those seeds the next year make more. Then you have a perennial variety. If my understanding is wrong, somebody correct me. I've been doing all the reading and research I can do on foxtail, and I could be wrong on some of this, so someone correct me if I'm wrong. Then you have a variety called knotroot foxtail that actually will produce from the seeds, but will also produce from a rhizome in the root system. And you can go along and clip this stuff before it ever seed heads, and the following year you'll still have more because it's producing through that rhizome in the seed. You'll still have more next year because it's reproducing through that rhizome in the root bed. I'm unsure which we have of this foxtail. So what do? I have been doing all kind of reading and research, and a shout out to Outcast Farms, and that's spelled Outkast Farms. If you haven't checked out their channel and you're a hay producer, do so. The lady's name is Jennifer. She runs that channel on YouTube. And a shout out to her. I sent her a message. She's very, very experienced in weed control in hay fields. And I talked to her about this and she gave me some suggestions. So shout out to Outcast Farms. So we're gonna go and pull up one of these horrible foxtail plants by the roots. And we're gonna look and see if we have the annual variety from just the seeds, or do we have the knotroot variety? I'm hoping it's just the annual variety, because the knotroot variety that spreads through the rhizomes and the roots is harder to control than this. And I got a suggestion to use a pre-emergent spray, a spray called Prowl, P-R-O-W-L, H2O. And I would need to apply that Prowl herbicide in like February. You have to spray it pre-emergent, and then again probably after first cutting, so it'll be like twice through the hay season. As soon as the first cutting's done, do another treatment of Prowl to get rid of this foxtail. This may have decimated our second cut. I do not want this stuff in our hay, and so does, I don't think anybody does. So we're going to have to deal with this. And when we do our second cutting on this main hay field, we're probably just going to have to mow around these infested patches of foxtail and just leave them. And then after we bale and get whatever we can get off this field up, then I can come back later with a bush hog and cut this stuff down and then treat it next late winter, early spring, before things start growing. So let's go out here and take the camera and pull one of these foxtail plants up. They're kind of a bunch grass. And I'll show you too how you can identify these things in the field other than just the seed head. Look at all this foxtail. This is not good. It's time to send out the SOS. This has severely hampered our second cutting. And if it was much worse, I would just say our second cutting is a bust this year. And I would go ahead and just start bush hogging this field and cutting this down in what grass is here for organic material down in the sod, and building up the sod. And you know, a lot of people throw around the term regenerative agriculture, and there's all these new age terms for everything that I don't get into. Bush hogging or mowing down grass and letting it go into the sod's always been a good practice. But there's a new age movement where they have started naming everything regenerative and permaculture and all this stuff. To me, it's common sense. And I don't need to name it a name. But it would probably be good for our soil if we did just bush hog this field this year. For our no more hay cutting off our main hay field this year. We got our first cutting was a pretty good cut. And the second cutting, good grief, the Timothy and orchard and fescue and clover that's in it is fantastic. We've done fertilized and sprayed for broadleaf and all that stuff. and I'm in a dilemma. I don't know what to do. I've not made my mind up yet on how exactly we're going to tackle it the rest of this year. I do think I'm going to go with herbicide spray, Prowl H2O, this coming winter. But for this year, our second cutting, man, I'm telling you, sometimes being a farmer is hard. You lose a calf, you lose part of your crops to a storm or a drought, and the possibility of us losing our second cut of hay off this field is very possible before it even gets started because of this infestation of foxtail. Foxtail is very much an irritant to horses and any animals that eat it. These little seed heads are sharp. They got like a little barb on them, and when an animal eats them and it gets in their mouth and they're chewing, it can kind of stick in their gums and in their tongues and fester up. This is bad stuff, bad, bad. When I saw this infestation, or the little patches of infestations we've got, I just felt like getting off my mower. And when I saw all these infestations, these patches of it, where the last 2 years there was maybe 2 or 3 of them, now there's hundreds. When I saw it, I just felt like sitting down almost and crying. It's ruined our hay this year, and maybe we can cut some areas it's not got foxtail in it, but the part that does, this is going to be a no-go this year. We're going to have to cut around it, or just make a decision just to bush hog this whole field under. I'm not sure what we'll do yet, but we may salvage what we can where there is no foxtail and bale it and then come back and bush hog it afterwards. That's the way I'm leaning at this point, if it doesn't get any worse. So let's pull one of these up, and I am praying and my fingers are crossed this is not knotroot. It does not have a rhizome in it. Let's pull one and see. I hope I can get one of these up by the roots. All right. Not good. All right, we got one up by the root, and this is not good news. Okay, here's the roots. You can see that this fibrous stuff, if that's all it was, if that's all we had, we'd be in good shape. I'm gonna spin these roots around. Look, see them rhizomes? That's bad. That's bad news. Okay, it's just full of rhizomes. Let me shake the dirt off of it. See the knots? It's full of them. This ain't good. Houston, we have a problem. So we got knotroot, foxtail, and I pulled up more than one. I walked over and pulled up another patch, same thing. All right, so we got a perennial that's going to spread even if we keep it clipped and kill it off while it's growing with some glyphosate or whatever. This stuff's going to come back next year, even more of it. So my understanding is that Prowl H2O will help eliminate this stuff. It's too late this year to do anything about it. But next year, this coming winter, we're going to have to spray Prowl H2O. And my understanding is Prowl H2O is compatible, and they do recommend it with warm season and cool season grasses, that it won't harm your grasses, but it will keep this stuff from growing. Spray it in like February, pre-emergent, and you have to have rain after you spray it. It's best to spray it when it's going to rain later that day or that night. Spray it, and the rain will help get this down into the roots. As you can see, the knot roots are not real deep. down in the soil. I mean, you're talking 3 inches. But it needs to get down to these roots to prevent this stuff from growing. And hopefully after a season or 2 or 3 of treatments, it'll just be gone. But it's going to have to be treated. And because this is a no-go. This is a no-go even for subpar hay. I don't like to use the terms cow hay or goat hay. I think everything deserves good hay. But this ain't even good for cow or goat hay. This is no good. And not only will they not want to eat it, but it can be harmful. The seeds with those little hooks in them, barbs, when they consume it, chewing on it in their mouth, it can cause sores and things of that nature. So this is a no-go for anything. Decisions about what to do this year. I don't know. Our hay season may be over now, except for our test plot. We don't have any of this in our test plot. And so far, I've not seen any of it coming up in our west field. Let me back up. Last year, I did see in our west field, a few of these here, there, and yonder. Now that I'm thinking about it, and that's not good. So we'll see what happens. That's just now starting to regrow good from our cutting back there, our first cut, which was late, and that's why it's so far behind this one. I'm disappointed. Kind of really let down. Had really high hopes. Our hay season may be over for the year, folks. At least here. We can get somewhere between 10 and 20 bales off our test plot soon, because it's regrowing like you wouldn't believe. But here on our main hay field, our hay season may be over. All right, let's, one more time. Here's the roots. You can see the knots. You can see them pretty good in some of it, especially right there. See those knots in that root? That's the rhizomes. This stuff will grow and spread from that rhizome. It doesn't necessarily have to have the seeds. It'll spread from the roots. I'm kind of looking around a little bit this evening. You may have noticed that. Yesterday, about this time of evening, I was at our home and I was sitting on the porch. Day's work done, kind of sitting there in the cool of the evening, and I was looking at the weather on my phone, and I looked up, and about 40 yards away was a bear, a black bear. And I've seen a lot of bears in the woods through my 20s and 30s and even teenage years. In 40s, I was a very much avid archery deer hunter. And I spent a lot of time in the woods, and I've seen a lot of bears. I've seen everything from look like 2-week-old cubs that was tiny up to some really big bears. And the one I saw was a big bear. It was a big boar, I could tell. Had the broad chest and then the narrow rump. And he was just, I hadn't even saw him. I don't know where he came from. I just looked over in the edge of our yard, and there he was standing there just like this, staring at me. Of course, when I stood up, he, took off like most black bears do. But I just kind of been looking around this evening to see if he might be just using this area, looking for a sow and heat or something. It is that time of year when bears disperse and younger males disperse, but this wasn't a young male, this was an older one. And then, earlier today, I went to my daughter's house and I drove, which is only about 6 or 7 miles from here. And I was driving up this paved country road going to her house, and somebody has a garden on the side of the road there. Not near any houses, just a garden there they fixed. And there was a young black bear in that garden tearing that corn down like you wouldn't believe. And I stopped the truck and sit there and watch him, and he finally noticed me and took off. But and they had an electric fence around their garden. Didn't stop that bear, he is in there. So they're really actively moving right now, and it's bound to be where they're dispersing and females in heat and things of that nature. It's a little late for breeding season for black bears for this area, but I guess the males are looking for those last females that might be in heat, so they're really moving. But I just wonder if that big male is just using this area regularly or if he's just passing through. So, but anyway, let's go take a look at this. Show you some of these patches of this nasty devil weed. Foxtail, even without the seed head, has a pretty distinct feature that if you look closely will give it away in the blades of the grass part. And let me show you what that looks like. Okay, you can see the seed heads. All right, and if you look down in here, see that purple? See the purple part of the leaves? If you look, it's everywhere around those seed heads. When you see that purple, you know you're in foxtail. Again, shout out to Jennifer, I believe's her first name, at Outcast Farms, for her suggestions on what for us to do to control this foxtail infestation. And her knowledge, I've watched some of her videos, and if you're into growing high quality hay, and she grows warm season grasses in Bermuda, from everything I can understand watching her videos. Man, she grows some clean hay, I'm telling you. And she uses varying different types of sprays and techniques, and I want to thank her for her suggestion for the Prowl H2O, and that's probably what I'm going to have to go with. But let's walk out through here. Let me show you an infestation. What an infestation looks like. And granted, it's not a huge area, but it's enough that it's bad. On another note, our broadleaf weed spraying we done down here in the main hayfield a month or two ago has done wonders. Didn't do nothing for this foxtail though. Okay, I'll spin the camera and give you a view of this. It's about a 20 by 20 square of just about pure foxtail. And we have these 20 by 20 or 20 by 30 yards areas probably in about 8 or 10 places in the hayfield. And if we don't do something, this is not going to be a hayfield, it's going to be a foxtail field in another year or two. And it's not good. Okay, I just pulled another handful from another place in the field. See those knots? Not good. We definitely have knotroot foxtail. If you have a foxtail problem, knotroot is the worst you can have. It's the hardest to eliminate. It is what it is. Look at that stuff. It's going to be a shame just to bush hog this because we have so much good grass. The Timothy came up in this main hay field for this second cutting as thick as it ever has. We got more Timothy than ever and more orchard than ever. The fescue is less than ever, and probably the clover's a little less than ever because of our 2,4-D spraying. But man, the Timothy and the orchard and the white clover, the 2,4-D doesn't seem to affect our white clover quite as bad as the red clover. So that Ladino clover has held on pretty good. And we got such good grasses, good growth with those grasses. But this stuff has taken over in places, and to the point that it may have ruined our hay season. We may be able to cut areas of our main hay field and leave areas. Then when it's baled, come back with a bush hog and this bush hog ollie in and chop it up best we can. I mean, the seed heads are there. And I'm not sure where this stuff come from. Because it's odd, for a couple of seasons I didn't see any of this stuff, and now it's here. 2 years ago they might have been one or two here and there. Last year there was a little more than that, but not a whole lot. This year we've got almost infestations. And you know, talking about weeds and hay, you know, hay's not grown in a greenhouse. It's grown outside, out in the elements, out in the open, out in the wind. And even if you don't have a seed bed of ironweed seed and horse nettle and things of that nature, what's blowing in off your neighbor's property? The seed's carrying over. Maybe even a half a mile away, they get caught in the wind, or you know, animals track them over, or in deer poop, deer's eating some kind of weed, it's got seeds in it, and the next thing you know, the next night they're over here in our hay field, and of course wherever the deer goes, they're going to poop and pee and all that type of stuff, and they've pooped out these seeds and they're in your hay field before you know what's happened. This stuff's not grown in a greenhouse. It's grown out in the open, and man, we're paying the price for it for this second cut. Being the best steward you can be of your land, you still sometimes gonna end up with something like this. If any of our viewers has tackled a foxtail problem in your hay field, drop comments please and let me know how you handled it. What did you do? Did you just burn off your whole field and start over? Did you burn it off and spray it, kill everything? Or did you use some kind of a herbicide to target just this stuff, the knotroot foxtail? How did you handle it? I'd love to hear it, and I'd love to hear suggestions. Like I said, Jennifer over at Outcast Farm gave me some great suggestions, and I really appreciate her taking time to help out another hay farmer. I really appreciate that. And what would you do with this nasty knotroot foxtail? I knew what foxtail was, but I had never heard of knotroot foxtail. I thought all foxtail just spread through the seeds. You know, an annual, just it grows. The seed germinates in the spring and grows, and by midsummer it's making a seed head, and then the seed head falls off and goes back into the soil, and next year it just repeats itself. I didn't know that it could grow through, there was a variety that would grow just through the root system. That was a new one for me, and constantly learning. How else are you going to keep producing better and better hay, being a better and better farmer, if you're not constantly learning? And I've shown some books on this channel before, Weeds of the South and Southern Forages. Man, I look at those. almost like a road map. All the time I'm looking and referencing those books. And I still didn't know this. You're always learning something new. And I learned about the knotroot foxtail from Outcast Farms, watching their videos. We got some decisions to make. Are we going to cut hay and just cut around these foxtail infestation patches and then bale what we got, or are we just gonna go ahead? If it keeps getting worse, these patches, infestation sections get worse and worse and keep growing, we may just have to bush hog everything. I'm just not sure yet. Some decisions to make. Sometimes being a farmer is not all peaches and cream. Sometimes whether it be, like I said earlier, losing a calf or losing some lambs, or losing a crop, losing a silage crop or a corn crop or soybeans or fruit trees, whatever, losing our hay to some obnoxious weeds that cannot go into hay. It is what it is. All right. I hear Susan up here at the chicken lot. She's moving some chickens. Let's go see what she's up to. So back, I can't remember, several months ago, we bought some barred rock, Plymouth barred rock pullets. And wouldn't you know it, one of them turned out to be a rooster. And he's full of himself already. Susan, how old is he?
They're about 11 weeks.
11 weeks old, and I want you to see this little joker. He is already full of himself, and as long as he's not mean to us, he might can stay. But he's already trying to crow, and our big hens, our older hens, Susan said a couple of them, she's threw him in the run with these older hens. And she said 2 of them kind of likes him, but the other 3 of them beat the crap out of him. So let me show him to you. There he is. He's not real big yet. There's a Rhode Island red hen. And another one. Some comet hens and a black sex link. Susan said the big black sex link hen beat the crap out of him a few minutes ago when he tried to get fresh with her. We're up here in our test plot now, and great day. I'd have to go back and look on my calendar when we cut it, but it's not been that long. Maybe 2 weeks, maybe. And great day has it regrown. I want you to see this. Look at that. Is that not amazing? Clover coming back. We'll get another cut here. We already had 2. And the last time we cut here was a record. We got 20 bales off this little 3/10 of an acre. When we cut the test plot again, we're not going to cut the new extension part of it. It's not regrowing as good, and it didn't last year, and it's not this year either. So we're probably not going to cut that again. We'll leave it to recover better for a cut for next year. But we'll cut the main part of the test plot again for a 3rd cutting whenever it gets to that point. Because it's regrowing fast, it ain't gonna be that long. But any hay taking off our main hay fields up in the air, I don't know. It's not looking good at all. Thanks for being with us here on the farm this evening. It's been a hot day. I've sweated gallons today. Weed eating and mowing and weed eating fence rows, and I'm not done. I've still got to go with the pull behind brush hog and go around the outer section of our high tensile fence, and here in the front and some in the back too. And work's never done around a farm. Susan's got the chickens all moved around where she wants them, and she's over there getting them situated for the night. It's about to get dark. And if you got any suggestions on our foxtail issue, I'd love to hear it, because it's not looking good for the rest of our season. And I just don't know what to do. Whenever we make a decision, I'll update everybody and let y'all know what we've decided to do with this problem with our hay for second cut on our main hay field. Thanks for being with us. You know what? Even with issues in our hay field and our second part of our hay season may be down the toilet, God's still good. God's good all the time, and all the time God's good. This is the day the Lord's made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. We're going to be glad regardless of what goes on in this hay. Thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it. I pray God blesses you and your family, and I pray y'all have a fantastic day.